Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Again for the First Time. We talk about so many different topics here, right? A lot of sports. We talk about um, recovery. We talk about hope. We talk about the darkness that's in the world, and most of the time, the beauty that's in the world. And then sometimes you get to just go back again for the first time. And this is a selfish one for me. I get to talk to Coach. And the coach is one of those terms that you earn. And long after you stop playing for whatever team, you have that term forever. It's like teacher. But in my opinion, teachers retire, coaches never do because you just share so many memories. In my case, with Coach Harold Robinson, who we have as my guest today, we shared whether it's bus rides, whether it's some wonderful chirping, and I have to talk to you about chirping, the difference between football chirping and hockey chirping, plane rides, and the list goes on and on. Coach Harold Robinson is my guest today. How are you today, Coach?
I am well, Darren. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And you became nationally prominent not too long ago because you're somebody who is just in terrific shape. I mean, the man just turned 23. I just need to get that out of the way. Um, but you got to do something that very few people get to do who are not in the NHL. You got to practice with the San Jose Sharks. And I want to talk about that. But before I do, tell the folks who you are, a little background, and we could just take it from there.
Uh, my name's Hal Robinson, as Darren says. Uh, our roots go back to Brooklyn College when I was a wide receiver coach. And even though I didn't get to spend a lot of time with this young man, I did get a chance to work with him and some other outstanding individuals while I was there. We have maintained this brotherhood even after our playing days, and it's really cool to turn around and have certain tools available to you via Facebook, Instagram, to be able to rekindle and be with some folks that you have a great deal of love or respect for. I have been a personal trainer for over 30 years, and I have been blessed to be at the Chelsea Piers facility for the last 28 years as a personal trainer, fitness manager, equipment manager, coach, from that perspective as well. And then 25 years ago, I was blessed with an opportunity to be able to do something that I always wanted to pursue, and that was to play goalie, but playing it on ice. I played floor hockey and I played street hockey, but never the experience of putting gear on and skating, on a regular basis with some people. And my first few years of playing, um, even though I had the athleticism, you still had to learn how to keep the stick on the ice, how to angle yourself in certain positions when you're facing a shooter. So there was a learning curve, and I was pretty much blessed to have some folks around who saw that I was passionate about what I was doing, but at the same time also wanted to help me to get better. So a week ago Wednesday, because of that patience and time that
Mhm.
I put in, um, I was getting ready for open hockey, which they have at Chelsea Pier Sky Rink Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at lunchtime. And that particular Wednesday, the San Jose Sharks just happened to be there for their team practice because Madison Square Garden wasn't available for them to skate that day. So as I'm walking through, I got the permission from the equipment manager to be able to go into the locker room area so I could grab my gear and change. And I was fortunate enough, and excuse me if I mispronounce the coach's name, Coach Ken Wynoski, who is
Mhm.
the coach of the San Jose Sharks. And I reintroduced myself again to the staff that was there and says, "Hey, I'm just here to change for my locker. I'm going to try to stay out of your way as much as possible can." I said, "Sure, no problem." Um, and then while I was there, one of the guys asked me, "So what do you do here?" I said, "Well, I'm a personal trainer, and I've also been skating here for the last 25 years, and I've also been fortunate enough to skate with the NHL staff team. So
Mhm.
I still made room for them. I was very respectful of their space because they're renting this space.
Mhm.
So Coach and I had a couple exchanges. We were talking about a few things, and he got dressed and got his team ready to go on the ice. And then I got dressed and I was ready to go on the ice. And there's 2 sheets of ice at Chelsea Fitness, and at the Sky Rink. So as I'm walking over to get on the other rink, the equipment manager who I spoke to earlier says to me, "Coach wants you to get on the ice." And I looked at him and said, "You got to be kidding me." He says, "No, Coach wants you to get on the ice." I also, I'm like totally blown away by this. But Darren, one of the things which I have been fortunate over the years to be able to do is acquire some really cool hockey jerseys. So my favorite hockey jersey is the Quebec Nordiques. So that day
Beautiful,
I happened,
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful jersey.
thank you. And that day I just happened to be wearing that jersey. And I'm pretty sure that and a couple other, connections that I have with the NHL staff people helped me get on the ice that day. So,
So what was
I
it
consider
like?
myself
Walk us through that. What was it like?
okay. So the so after I got on the ice, it was very interesting that the other coaches were anticipating my arrival, which I
Hmm.
thought like, okay, all right. So I get there and I'm like, I skate over the coach, and coach introduced himself to me again. All right, and I
Hmm.
introduced myself. So then we skate over, and then I see the big, tall Russian goalie who was
Hmm.
there with them, and he gives me a fist bump, and then coach introduces me to the San Jose Sharks, and then he says to me, he says, Harold, introduce yourself to the Sharks and tell us a little bit about yourself. So I told him, I said,
Wow.
yeah. So um, as I'm presenting myself to them, um, and telling them about myself, and telling them I've been there for 25 years skating and playing hockey, and I work next door with as a personal trainer in the gym, and I've been there for 28 years. I said, but also in addition to that, I get to skate with the NHL staff team. So, and I told him it's an absolute pleasure to be on the ice with you guys right now for practice. So then they're doing their stick tapping on the ice, to indicate that they're pleased to have me on there. And then the next thing I know, coach goes to me, says, "Okay, I want you to get in the net." And I'm like going, "Okay." So I get in the net, and Darren, the one thing I can share with you is like I remember all these other goalies who have been in emergency situations. Like, yeah, I get in the net and the puck is flying by me, and I'm trying to get in front of it, and similar scenario.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
But just to be on the ice and the precision and how the puck comes off a coach's stick and onto one of the players while they're doing this drill was just absolutely amazing. Um, their their celebrated rookie Celebrini turned around and ripped a shot past me,
Right.
and I barely missed it. Okay, but it
Hmm.
just these guys when they shoot is always at the net. It's not high, it's not
Hmm.
wide, it's always on the net. And
Right.
that was to me was the biggest thing about the precision of their shots. So the
Hmm.
one puck that I did manage to deflect, okay, was the former Ranger, Mr. Goodrow. Um,
Sure.
so yes,
Big fan of his. Yes.
yes. So and then I could have stayed a little bit longer, but I didn't want to overstay my welcome because I was down with Mr. Blackwood, their goalie, who's been
Hmm.
in net majority of their games
Right.
this season.
Hmm.
And since you're going, I said, "No, I think I've had enough."
Hmm.
So so I could have
But
stuck around for a little bit longer if I wanted.
but I would say, and again, I know you forever, but I haven't been around you for years, but I follow you every day on social media, as you know. That
Mm-hmm.
again, that is your respect for another coach and team getting their stuff done. Like,
Yes,
just leave early, be grateful, move on.
yes,
I
yes,
mean,
yes, yeah,
that is so beautiful on
yeah.
so many levels.
Thank you.
Um, and again, you don't need to share this if you don't want to, but it was in the article. Do you think they
Mm-hmm.
realized your age? Because
I
you don't look
act,
your age.
I thank you, thank you. I actually I actually ribbed the beat reporter as I was making my way back to the locker room. I passed. I said, just to let you know that I'm 65 and I move around like that. And the guy goes and says, okay, all right. And he says he asked me for my name. So
Mhm,
the funny part is that Alan Krita, who's the beat writer for Bloomberg, okay,
mhm,
who also went to Brooklyn College, okay, he knows the beat writer for the San Jose Sharks. And
mhm,
then smaller circle than that, one of my buddies who I played hockey with the Wild Turkeys when we won
mhm.
16-0 and then eventually ended up winning that championship 19
Just
and 1.
saying. Just saying.
Just saying. He also knows the beat reporter from the San Jose Sharks. So after that Wednesday that I was on the ice with them before they played the Rangers, um, he turns around and he gives me his number and I reach out to him and we're talking on the phone and he's interviewing me and he's asking me the same thing you're asking about, the experience, my age, what I do. And I told him, I said, like, look, I said, the biggest thing is that you show respect to those that you have a love for the game for. And I
Mhm,
also said to him too, I said, it's like it was a tremendous honor to be asked in that particular time to be able to, that's the dream of so many people, to be able
mhm.
to live that moment was absolutely awesome, you know.
I was just recently fortunate enough to be at TD Gardens in Boston last week for
Mm-hmm.
the Shorzy exhibition game that they had
Gotcha.
against the Boston Bruins. They did that same thing with the Sabres, up in Montreal and Chicago, and Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring it up because we were friendly with somebody who's on the Shorzy team, one who plays one of the gyms,
Mm-hmm.
John Moraski. And
Mm-hmm.
so we had full access to the game. And their goalie, much like yourself, that they had was around our ages.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, because I knew about your experience that we were going to have this conversation, and the smile on his face was just epic. I said,
Yeah.
"How was it?" He goes,
Yeah.
you can't beat this." And I'm sure you
Yeah.
felt very much the same way
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're doing it, and we're older,
Mm.
and um, long-term goals beat short-term gains, right? We all believe in that, and
Yes.
that must have been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like and then the response that I've gotten, you know, that Wednesday from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon until
Right.
midnight, for all the people who were reaching out to me. And then that I felt, and you can totally relate to this, okay? I felt a little selfish if I asked for tickets to go see the Rangers, on
Right.
behalf of the Sharks. So I didn't do that. So I find out from one of my old high school friends who's at the Rangers Sharks game that
Mhm.
the lady in between the glass, and I apologize for not remembering her name. Okay,
Mhm.
he shows me a video clip of her talking about me and how the Sharks are making sure this goes viral about the 65-year-old goaltender mentioned me by name, the years I've been down there playing. So I'm like going, okay, all right, okay. So now already know this is blown up,
Right.
virally to people, and I've also seen like I didn't have an X account before that, and now I have an X account, but also my Instagram account too also blew up because I saw how many people had responded to it. I was just
Right.
absolutely amazing. And then I found out from another friend, and I was also talking with somebody last night after my hockey game, that they had posted the video of me on the Sharks in between
Mhm.
the first and second periods at the Garden, and I got a standing ovation.
How beautiful is that? I
Yeah,
just got chills. I
yeah,
just got chills because it's everybody's dream, as much less
yeah,
somebody from New York. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's awesome. Hey,
yeah.
I want to jump ahead a little bit because some people who don't follow hockey don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You have to love the game because ice time is not easy to get.
That is
Explain
true.
to those who are listening and watching, and I'm sure a lot of them do like hockey, but explain to them when you play, senior level hockey when you play open ice hockey,
Hmm.
you are not getting 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday.
No, no, no. I'm fortunate that the Skyrink has their schedule set up where like you have people who are working or going to work later are
Right.
showing up, around 11 a.m., getting
Hmm.
dressed, getting on the ice from 12 noon until 1:20 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay.
Hmm.
I I'm fortunate enough that because of the NHL skate and them skating at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, which I alternate with a couple of the goalies,
Hmm.
that's where I'm getting my reps. I can skate more, but I also have to have that balance, between the work schedule and what I'm doing on the ice to make sure that I'm not I can give my ultimate effort to everything that I'm doing and not burning myself out.
Right, right,
And to be able to get on the ice, like I said before, around 12 noon is a pretty awesome deal, because you got figure skating going on, you got the Cyclones practice that starts at 4 o'clock, and
right.
then you have NYU's also skating over there as well. So, you know, being able to find that time to get on the ice is unique
Hmm.
situation. And then I also have helped some of my buddies out doing stick and puck, which
Right.
is a time where like coaches, can work on enhancing player skills. So I can
Well,
get to that.
maybe you could share with people, especially when you first start. I mean, you're suiting up at 1 in the morning or it's 5 a.m. Explain. You take the ice when you can get it.
Oh, please, yeah. I remember those days of getting up. You're going to be on the ice at 6 a.m. and you're
Right.
getting at 5 o'clock, and like you're still trying to make sure you're still awake. Forget about put the gear on, right? You're just trying to make sure that you're awake, you know. And then, like I said, the opportunity to be able to do stick and puck, somewhere between 1 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't do it all the time, but when I do it, I get to help a buddy out, and his shooting skills and his movements, but also allows me to turn around and work on stuff as far as my angles and positioning is concerned.
So I want to ask a fun question before I kind of dive a little bit into goalie philosophy and then into what you do in terms of physical health and stretching and
Hmm.
mindfulness and all that.
Okay.
Um, you are one of the few people that have experience in two different sports, and we both care about them deeply. In this case, football and hockey. Um, Talk to me about chirping. Were you a bigger chirper in hockey or football, and what's the difference in the chirping?
Okay, so in football, from what I remember from our old days, okay, if
Mm-hmm.
the offense is getting on a roll there, the defense is like gonna turn around and say stuff like, "Oh yeah, you might have caught that ball this time, but I'm gonna make sure you don't get the next time." You know, and what I used to tell you guys is like, honestly, you could talk the talk, but if you can't walk the walk, it's a
That's
totally
right.
different scenario. So, you know, I remember a couple of times Curtis Douglas and Marcus Whitfield turn around making some big catches,
So
and
talented.
just looking at guys like us, and, you're not talking now, right?
That's right.
Right? A big catch,
Well,
turn around, set them up.
before you get into some your hockey chirping, and I want to know if you're a chirper or not with hockey,
Hmm.
you had the greatest chirp of all time that I experienced in all my years playing college football and coaching after, and it was so subtle, and you probably don't remember it because it was so just you. You walk out on the field, right? You're wearing those wonderful coaching shorts we all had to wear, and you turned to one of the DBs, right? And you said, "Here you go." And you flipped him a piece of bread. You said, "You've been toasted all day."
I remember that toast. Yes, I
Yes.
remember
That was the greatest thing I've
that.
ever seen. It was so sincere and so fun. It wasn't
Yeah,
done viciously. It was like,
yeah,
"Hey,
yeah,
my guys are gonna beat you all day. Here you
yeah,
go, toast."
yeah. We're trying to make you a better person. So it's like here, you can eat it if you want, or you can toss it away. But you know that is a classic one. I still remember. It's funny because I was talking to Coach about that one one time when I went to visit him. That still sticks out there, my friend.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So now, do you chirp a lot in net, or are you kind of quiet?
Depending on the situation, okay.
Hmm.
One of the things I've learned from some of the NHL guys as well as some of the higher division guys is
Hmm.
that some goalies really don't say much,
Right.
even when it comes to where people are on the ice in relationship to the goal and where they're at with the puck. And I've
Hmm.
always made it a point to like let my defensemen or centers know, that someone's in the middle, someone's along the boards. So it all helps us turn around and reacquire the puck if we've lost it. Okay.
Right.
And I also like don't want them to turn around and like feel like I could have said something and I didn't say something. So
Hmm.
this way, they know that I got their back. A couple of weeks ago, we were playing somebody and my captain fell on the puck. Okay, he tried to
Hmm.
get up and the guy started jabbing at him. So after the whistle had blown, he was still talking to my captain about it. And I'm like, oh, and I said, why are you still talking? He's just like, you're
Right.
talking to me? I'm like, oh, yes, I'm talking to you. I said, why are you still talking? So I find out in between the second and third period, the guy goes to my captain. He says, you should tell your goalie, that, he should work on speaking. He sounds like Darth Vader. I'm like, oh, I said, okay, all right.
All
So
right.
then the next time he was in the net, I turned around and I was like, mm-hmm. All right. So now what do you have to say? Okay. He
Right.
just turned around and he skated off, So,
Yeah, like a
yeah.
little frightened goat.
Yeah, yeah. So the next time that we're scheduled to play him, we're gonna play Darth Vader's March,
Mm.
and I'm gonna borrow a friend of mine's red hockey stick, so that's gonna be my lightsaber the next time we
There
play.
you
So
go. I love that.
thank you.
I love that. I want
Yeah.
to ask about personal training.
Hmm.
It like a lot of different things, whether it's stacking the pads and goalies and then butterflying but things change over the course of the years.
Hmm.
What do you do specifically to stay true to your philosophy in terms of overall health? And at the same time change with the times and walk us through that because there's always some fad on at 1:30 in the morning. This is the greatest thing to get you in shape, or this or
Uh-huh.
that, or
Yeah.
like 20 years ago, no salt. That now it's like salty drinks are good. I mean,
Hmm.
walk us through all of that.
Okay. So when I first got involved in this, one of the biggest things that I got from my certification, but I also knew from my own self is that how you set up your positioning on equipment and working out also turns around and will dictate your posture for when you're playing a sport. So
Right.
when I train people, one of the biggest things that I focus on is reminding them about, that we slouch, sitting up, lifting your chest up, engaging the muscles that you want to work. So I'll give you an example. So if I'm on a lat pull down, you know, a teaching cue is to turn around and get someone to pull their scapula towards their center. When you do
Hmm.
that, it forces your rectus spinae, your latissimus dorsi, to name a few, to turn around and contract in the way that you want them to contract and work in the way that you want them to work. Just like when you're doing a chest press exercise, regardless if you're doing it on a hammer strength piece of equipment, incline
Hmm.
chest press, or you're doing incline chest press with dumbbells, you want to turn around and make sure that your arms are staying within the power area of your body and not being so
Hmm.
far wide out. You know, Darren, the sad reality is as we get older and our joints are put in a place where they don't want to be, that's where we get these shoulder impingements and other damage to our shoulders because of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then what I have learned too about when it comes to the nutrition is like I still go back to the four basic food groups. Okay.
Hmm.
If you eat the four basic food groups and you don't eat and you're doing, I would sound like a broken record, you're doing a minimum of 20 minutes to a half hour cardiovascular exercise where it's stimulating your heart and you're
Hmm.
not doing something which is like going to Haagen-Dazs or Ben and Jerry's and
That's
getting vanilla ice cream and not turn
right.
around, like, yeah, this is sprinkles or chocolate chips to it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do something cardiovascular, shake it up. I always love to do interval training. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember before I was at Chelsea, I would get on the treadmill and I would do lateral stuff, run backwards, or turn around and do 30 seconds on and 30 seconds recover, or do a minute on and do a minute recover. Just things to turn around and spice it up from that perspective. And then when it comes to like I said before, it's like the thing that cracks me up about all these, you heard about the cabbage diet and the water diet, and then you always want to add creatine or you want to add more protein. If you eat the 4 basic food groups, you got all that stuff covered. You don't have to
Right.
turn around and add more stuff to it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, shakes help, in
Mm-hmm.
the recovery aspect of it. But if you're preloading with protein and you're preloading with creatine and then you have protein afterwards, when does the body break this down? Okay.
Right.
Anybody who knows anything about basic anatomy and physiology of the body knows that majority of stuff that we take in needs a longer process to break down. Okay. So, like
Mm-hmm.
if you have your protein shake, I'll give you an example. You have a protein shake at 6 a.m., you do your workout, and then you have another protein shake somewhere between 3 and 6 p.m. That protein that you had at 6 a.m., the next time you went to the bathroom, is gone because
Right.
it doesn't have enough time to process. So then when you
Mm-hmm.
have that second one, even though you're saturating your cells with stuff, it's still
Mm-hmm.
not getting the amount of breakdown time in
Mm-hmm.
your small and large intestines to properly filter into your bloodstream the way you want it to do. So it's effectively helping you in your workouts and your
Right.
recovery. You know, so I think that's a big misconception of a lot of people that you gotta add the protein, you gotta add the green, you have to have some supplements, you know, pre, mid, or post, because your body
Right.
can only break down what it can break down, you know. So,
So when you're doing personal training with someone, and I'm talking the general you, not you specifically,
mm-hmm,
I've often seen people who mean well. I'm talking about trainers now,
mm-hmm,
but the person who is paying for the training, they need to understand that they are an equal partner. Meaning, you have to be honest with Coach Alf Robinson. What are you trying to get out of this? And
mm-hmm.
don't lie. If you like to haagen us at 10 o'clock at night, just say it.
Yes,
Because
yes,
right, because you can only work with what you know. Am I
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
wrong?
Yeah, yes, true. Because the other thing too, Darren, is the fact that you have people who come in and you now the funny part about personal training is that you develop personal relationships with people. And when
Mm,
I've worked with people over 20 years, okay, this is my time at Chelsea, and so you get to know them, you get to know their family, okay, you get to know the good days and the bad days. And yeah, I always try to turn around and leave people better than when they came into the facility,
mhm,
because when you listen to their lives and you understand the ups and the downs, the high moments and the low moments, you want it to be more than like, okay, I want to make sure you're sitting up tall, I want you to make sure you're breathing. You want to turn
mhm,
around and do something that that you're in touch with that person. And I know
mhm,
over the years that's been one of my big success, of keeping the clients that I have, because I take the time to listen and I turn around if there's something they want to tweak when it comes to the workout. I make the proper tweaks. It's like I got this kinetic stretch certification a year ago, and there's
mhm,
certain people that when you get a new tool, you try to see who it best applies to. Okay, it may not work for everyone, but you
mhm,
try to apply your new knowledge to folks to help them, with their athletic pursuits or their daily life activities. Okay, because I feel a lot of people, if they had the discipline to go to the gym, you can relate to this, okay? They had the
mhm,
discipline to go to the gym, they would go to the gym, but they just need that little motivation to push. And there's also, like I was saying, also the personal part is, to have someone there to help you get through the workout, to
right.
encourage you, through the workout and try to get you to do things that you normally wouldn't get yourself motivated to do, That's one
Hmm.
of the biggest things that I try to do with the people that I work with, is try to help them, to reach their goals, but at the same time, make it easier for them to turn around and be in the gym and not feel like, they're by themselves. There was a
Right.
woman that I trained a year ago. She says, I felt so intimidated being in the gym. I said, well, you can hang out with me, and I will work on you not being intimidated in the gym, because
Right.
this is a place for everybody to be, So don't, so like, if there's a particular machine you want to use, you think that it's a guy's machine, it's not a guy's machine. This is for
Right.
this facility is for everybody.
Hmm. No, it's I tell you, I love hearing that for so many reasons. And like I was at the gym today, it's part of what we do, and you obviously more than me. But and I saw some people again around my age, um, our age, and it was really nice because they were not in a super rush, they were not clogging machines, but there was a social atmosphere. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
it being, at the bar or instead
Mm-hmm.
of it being someplace else, when they're doing it and they're getting the workout in and they're feeling good and they're doing an extra set or two without even realizing they're doing an extra set.
There you
And
go.
sometimes it's a little slower, but you understand what's going on there. That whole mind body, it's just is so important, and it's to
Mm-hmm.
feel good
Mm-hmm.
about yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I am sure that a lot of what you do, people don't realize it's really like therapy. It is talk therapy in a
yeah,
lot of ways,
yeah,
isn't it?
yes, yes. Here, I'm going to go back to a point that you're talking about with people working out. One of the things that I talk to my clients about when we got out of COVID and people being cooped up, I
Hmm.
said to them, I said, like, we rearranged some things, so we had a few less pieces of equipment because we had to have that 6 foot scenario.
Hmm.
So, when you've been indoors and isolated, certain things happen. So I
Hmm.
remember I was working with a client one day, and I said to him, I said, like, look, I said, if somebody happens to linger on a machine for a certain period of time and it's something we like to use, we'll find something different. Because the biggest thing that I remember, Darren, from that whole process is that when you got back to, normal, okay, if you can use that term,
Hmm.
um, there were still some people who had to learn what it is to be sociable again.
Right.
Yeah. And you had to be careful with your approach because you didn't know what that person had gone through during that time. So, that's one of the things that I was very mindful of and still mindful of. And because of the facility and the size of what I have, we're pretty blessed to have multiple pieces of equipment that,
Hmm.
as a trainer, I just don't put people on machines. There's
Right.
bands and there's a whole bunch of other different things to do. Because if I was only relegated to using machines, then I'd be doing everybody a major disservice.
Well, it's very interesting you say that. I was going to ask another question, but you brought up the bands, for example. For me, I was always a free weight guy and then used machines for, and it's not just an age thing. It's because I know how important from watching you and stretching is. I'm using more and more bands than ever and getting amazing results because I started to kind of flatline and plateau with some
Mm-hmm.
other things. And
Mm-hmm.
those bands are, talk about bands for a second because people don't realize, well, there's not a lot of weight and sometimes there's no weight, but it's incredibly tough. It does some
Yeah.
great work.
Yeah. The key thing about the bands is going back to what I was saying about your anatomical positioning. It's like,
Mhm.
you can put a band on a door handle, you can put it on a rail, but you still got to turn around and lift the chest and engage your abdominal cavity and get your scapula and your back muscles fired up if you're doing a row. And then if you turn around and you're doing a chest press or an incline chest
Mhm.
press, all of a sudden that band, that green, red, black, whatever band that you got in your hands now becomes a really useful tool because my anatomical positioning's got to be a certain spot. My shoulders have to be back in a certain position. Now the band is not a machine. The machine, you
That's
can
right.
simply just go forward and come back because you're just following a movement pattern. Now that when you put a band in both of your hands or dumbbells in your hands, okay,
Mm-hmm.
now you have to turn around, you have to create stability first,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to work on the actual movement pattern.
Right.
Okay. So when you start to get midway through, okay, or all the way through, all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, you know, now that you give me a perfect example, if I'm doing a row and I'm in that athletic position, we go back to what I was saying earlier. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're in that athletic position. So now that athletic position's now got your feet, your calves, your anterior tibialis, your quads, your hamstrings, your lower back, your abdominal cavity, your chest working to be the counter of when you're working on your back now to help put you in a stable platform so you can get the maximum out of that row. And then when you flip yourself around and you're doing the chest press, all those other assisters have to turn around and help to maintain your anatomical positioning along with your base through your legs in order to allow you to go forward while you're doing a chest pick exercise. You know.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic. And one other thing I wanted to ask you before I want people to be able to find you and if they want to use your services, just
Sure.
for whatever reason. But
Sure.
how do you unwrap bad habits? Like, for example, I'll just use me.
Mm-hmm.
From the time I played ball for years, and I still sometimes fall into this bad habit. I'm a shallow breather, not a
Mm-hmm.
lot coming in, not a lot going out,
Mm-hmm.
and like, how do you approach somebody? Are you just like, hey, listen, you need to do this. This is what you're doing wrong. Because I know it's like a golf swing, right? It's hard
Mm-hmm.
to undo a bad habit.
Yes. Yeah. When you learn a particular movement pattern, okay, I had a client years ago. You would talk about how you would learn a particular movement pattern.
Mhm.
You maintain that level of movement until someone teaches you a new one. Okay.
Right.
When it comes to breathing, they're always the old Nautilus protocol is like you're taking 2 seconds to go out, you're pausing for that third second, and then you're coming back. Okay. So they always used to emphasize you would exhale as you push out and you'd
Mhm.
inhale as you return. Okay. I found after a while people will be so caught up in the breathing pattern that
Mhm.
the actual exercise was now being sacrificed. So what I tend to do now is that I'll tell them, I said, this is what I want you to do. I said, I want you to breathe normally. I don't want you to,
Mhm.
okay, to do that, to take the breath and then have the big exhale. Because now I'm more focused on that. And then when I also find that they're like you were saying earlier, being so focused about breathing, I'll start to say little funny little things like I know like one of my clients like I was like, hey, those Air Jordans that you're wearing are really cool. And like, oh, I'm not wearing Air Jordans. See, I got you to breathe.
That's right.
I
There
got
you
you to
go.
relax. I got you not to focus on something else. And
Hmm.
those little subtle little things, you know, are
Yeah.
what to get people out of, those patterns that they have. And I remember I had a person who like they would big exhale come out, big inhale go in and they would do that all the time, you know. And one day they got extremely lightheaded. And they're
Hmm.
like, oh, I said, Harold, what can you do to help me? I said, well, let's put it this way. I said, you're breathing without taking that big deep exhale,
Right.
okay, and you're also breathing when you're bringing the weight back down again, you know. So what I have found with some folks is like, oh, like, hey, so what did you think of the Giants game the other day? Or what do you think about the Rangers game the other day? While they're doing the set, and
Hmm.
before you know it, guess what they're not thinking about? They're not thinking about breathing,
Right. It's
you
just
know.
natural.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, first off, Coach Harold Robinson, who's my guest today, I want to thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for talking about health. Thank you for talking about your time working with the San Jose Sharks there and the practice. If somebody wants to get to have you play goalie for another professional team who comes in, or follow you on Twitter, or to use your services, as I am telling you, this individual, 65 years old, in incredible health, thank goodness,
Thank you.
he can only help you. So how can
Thank
someone get in touch with you?
They can reach me at Coach COACH period Harold 11 at gmail.com. They also I have my Instagram account. I had to go from public to private, but if
Mhm.
someone really wants to get a hold of me, they can send me a message request. Um, if they're in,
Or email me, people here at the
oh,
at the podcast.
there you go. And then if someone's in New York, they literally can get a hold of me at Chelsea Fitness, which is on 23rd Street and the West Side Highway.
And a
The
beautiful facility.
Thank you. So we got the rink, we got the gym, we got the golf club. They also have the field house where there's a lot of young programming done. They're playing soccer there as well. There's gymnastics programs there as well, not only for kids but also for adults. Same thing for the soccer program. And if you go on the Chelsea Fitness website, you can look me up there. There's there's information there about me there. You want to set something up stretching wise, personal training wise, you can leave an email there or get a hold of somebody through the fitness concierge, and it will definitely get a hold of me.
People, I'm going to sound like a salesman because I am. You want to get somebody the greatest gift you can get them, and that's health or mindfulness, and the combination of both. If you live around the city, um, you could do no better than provided having Harold Robinson. I was about to say coach again, Coach Harold Robinson, help you with that because that is a great holiday gift to give. That's just the gift of life, the gift of wholeness, the gift of mindfulness. Coach, thank you for being my guest today.
Darren, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Be
Thank you
well.
so much, my friend. All right. Take care, my friend.
Bye now.